Hello. Today we're going to go through another step-by-step process of a shoot that I did not too long ago, and we'll start from the beginning and we'll end up with this image right here. So here we go. This was the first shot of the day, and unlike most of my shoots, there was actually an image there, but it wasn't in focus. I just kind of ballparked in. I was using live view, and I ballparked in the composition, and this is what it looked like for the first shot. I didn't even notice it was out of focus. So this is what we did, and we'll go through step by step. We came up with the background. We liked it. We liked the angle. We thought this would make a pretty powerful shot. The tough part was selling the client on the minimum depth of field. So let's see how that works out. Okay, we got a little more in focus, and you can see the base is really out of focus. So we keep on working. We add the second light. Okay, go back one. We'll see the main light. I wanted from that angle just so we could emphasize the texture on top of this here. And this was a glare. I knew that was going to be a problem. And we got some nice shape here, got some nice shape on the stuff down there. And I knew this angle and lighting had potential. So now we're going on. I added a secondary light from the right here. And the light that I used was my Fresnel spot. I call it my big 10-inch. And it casts some crisp shadows, which in this case, it's so soft down here out of focus that you can't even really tell how crisp the shadows are, but it does give you good texture. I mean, you can see in the top here where there's like a little bubble, and there's a highlight side of the bubble and the shadow side of the bubble. And that's what you're trying to do as a food photographer. You're trying to show texture. You're trying to emphasize that texture. You're trying to make a two-dimensional screen look as three-dimensional as possible. That's what it's all about. Okay, so there's actually two lights going on here. I can see right here by this highlight that I had my overhead light on too. That kind of catches the highlight on the meniscus, and it also relieves the shadow here too. And I turned both of those on. Okay, that was the third light that I added there from the right. Okay, that's a little bit much. I'm playing around here, just playing with my lights to see what's going on. One of the things I thought that was really intriguing about this shot, as soon as I turned on the lights, were these ribs here. I thought that was the coolest thing, and I see these highlights are going really out the wazoo, and I'm going to have to do something about that later. So overall, I kind of like what's going on here. I like the way this is graduating dark. I'm trying to emphasize that on this shot. You can see I just added that flag there to bring that down. So let's keep going, see what's going on. I just refined that, try to figure out where I wanted that shadow to happen. And okay. I'm emphasizing. I brought the light around from the right a little bit more because milkshakes are one of those things. It was a learning curve for me when I first started shooting milkshakes. I've done a gazillion of them, but you know, I always wanted to emphasize the front. I mean, you're looking at a cylinder, right? So you have to light it like a cylinder. But the thing about it is, so much of milkshakes are usually in a transparent glass. So the transparent glass shows the milkshake through it, so you kind of have to light it, because that's actually the product. So you're not going for like a typical cylinder shape where shadow is prominent. So you're trying to show from the front. So I brought the light around front here a little bit more. And I kind of like it, but the front and the top are almost the same. This is even brighter than the top, and I don't think that's the way it should be. Usually when you're lighting something, you know, the sun comes from the top, so subconsciously you want the brightest thing to be the top. So I kept on playing, and I really loved those ribs right there, so I just kept on playing with that. Okay. I'm still messing around with the light on top. I kind of like that little darker key, you know, lower key up there. Okay, and okay, you can see me start to work with these lights right here. I'm trying to mask them down, and what I did was I put up a piece of plexiglass, and I put tape on the plexiglass so I could put my cast shadows right where I wanted them. So I'm trying to find out where these lights are. I know where the light's coming from, but just because I know where it is doesn't mean it's real easy to block that area. I mean, to just block this highlight and not block all these strawberries is it's a tough thing to do. So that's what I'm working on right here. See, you can see I added a piece of tape here and it knocked a lot of this down. Like this is before, this is after. But I'm not so keen on all that there. Whoop, I did a little bit more there. That's cool. So there, I was just playing with focus just to show the client what's going on. You know, he had asked me, oh, does it have to be that far out of focus? And I said, no, this is what I can do. I can make it in focus the whole way. It's just a matter of, you know, what we like, what we decide on aesthetically. And the client has always the final word on what we end up shooting and what he ends up using. You can see this highlight's pretty well taken care of here now, even in the sharp stuff. So here we go, back to the focus. And of course, this is just stand-in ice cream right now. I mean, it's a real milkshake, but there's a couple of things I saw that I really liked. I mean, I didn't like the way I was getting a glare on this, but I did like the way this was sort of submerged into there. I thought that was kind of a cool feel. So we just kept on working on that. And I'm messing with the exposure a little bit, messing with my lights. I missed the exposure on that. You can see down here, I added another light from the front. A mirror actually that lights the side of these, but also zocked that thing there. So now I'm playing with that. What I did was I ended up taking the light around to the side more, which means the strawberries actually blocked that highlight there. So playing around, and this would actually be a relatively easy retouch, but I can't remember where we ended up there. But this is a killer. Okay, now you can tell we're pretty close on the lighting because we've blocked this in right now, so we're going to take away this glass and bring the hero in. So here we go. Whoops. My screen's frozen here. Okay, so here we go. It's blocked in. We're working on the strawberries down below now. We're sort of playing with props. We got the hero stuff in. Here, let me go back a little bit. Yeah, you can see we jumped. That was a few frames back. And here we get the hero strawberries in, but I thought they were really crammed in there. So I'm trying to play around and get a little bit of space there, twist them around a little bit, play with the greens, get them to where I kind of like them. I even flipped out the strawberries here at one point. Okay, you can tell at this point, this is where we go from stand-in to real ice cream. Okay, and you can see how the texture is so different there. It's night and day, and it's really going to help us. I mean, you can see the texture there. You see highlight, you see shadow. That's what you're trying to do. So we knew this wasn't going to be in because we had to put in straw, and the food stylist had to drop in some strawberry bits, and you have to work really fast when you're working with ice cream. You can see how it melts. I mean, we have a pool around here now. So, you know, we're trying to get the strawberry in, just get it at the right angle. Okay, we're trying to submerge it a little bit. Looks like she scooped out some of this. You can see how it's not as molten now. Okay, so she's working on that, and okay, here we are, different strawberry. Tweak the lighting a little bit. Get the straw in there. Sometimes, okay, like you can see this down here, you know how this goes dark every once in a while? It's like one of my lights isn't going off. What's probably happening is the food stylist is actually standing between the lights, because she'll be off to the right here, and I have a mirror coming in from that direction, so what happens is she ends up blocking the mirror. One of the things that I ended up having to retouch was this highlight right here. On the final shot, there was a couple little things to retouch, and I just couldn't get away from that. I needed that light coming from on top to relieve the texture here, and also to light inside the strawberry and everything. So this I knew was going to have to be a retouch, so I just lived with that. And there's another thing we ended up retouching. Okay, so here's this stylist. I guess the client didn't like these things floating here. So what she did was she just poked them under a little bit so they weren't quite as obvious. Okay, now it's getting kind of scoopy here, kind of soupy. She's tried to rough it up a little bit, get a little bit of space, and that's what she's doing right here. She's in there, she's trying to create some highlights and some shadow and some texture, but the problem is there's just too much sauce in there. I mean, it's basically melted. So the solution, sop it all up. sop up as much as you can, and then add more ice cream after that. And that's what we're doing here. So, okay, we got the ice cream in, and she's swirling it around now. And I'm not real keen on what's going on with the strawberry because that's getting whacked every time she tries to change the... Okay, now that I think worked out pretty well. This is getting really near the end here. She roughed this up pretty nicely, but I don't like that texture. It's too much. So I know that if I go in and retouch that thing, it's going to be just fine. So here's where we are. And just to cover our butts, I'm changing the depth of field here. So when the client's client says, hey, we hate that, don't you have anything in focus? Couldn't you shoot in focus? He can just pull out one of the in focus shots. And basically that's how we did this is, we tweaked it. I really like the way the strawberries kind of half submersed. I'm going to retouch that, like I said, and I smoothed that out retouching wise. And I'm bracketing here. I'm just giving them different variations, depth of field, Okay, we're going on to the next shot there. But that's kind of what we have here. Let me dig up my Photoshop file. File open recent. Okay, so this is the end. This is what I ended up doing retouching wise. I just took that away and I smoothed this out a little bit there. So let's compare that to one of the finals. You can see I liked a lot more, fall off on the depth of field, but you can see the top. I just kind of smoothed that out retouching wise. And that's it. I was really quite happy with his shot. It's a vertical. It's a cover of a mailer. So this was something that was a little bit different than the other shot I showed you the other day. So this shot worked out really well. There's really nice texture and smoothness. I like the minimum depth of field. I like all the texture in there, and it worked out really well. I was really happy with it. So if you have any questions, just leave them in the comments below, or if you have any suggestions for future ideas for videos, just drop that in the comments too, and I'll try to help you out. Okay, I hope this was worth your while. Thanks.